Great. So, well, welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us for a little bit different of an annual membership meeting. Typically, we would have this serve you lunch, be in person, be able to shake hands, exchange cards. But as we all know, that's not possible. So it was still our desire to bring this information to you now, and perhaps we'll have some kind of event later in the year if it's possible. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce Rob Shortley, who is our board chair for 2021, and he'll start us off, and then I'll take over. Rob.
Thanks, Greg. So just to introduce and get us started with the Edmonds Chamber of Commerce. So we're, of course, an independent nonprofit serving Edmonds since 1907. Our mission statement, promoting the economic vitality of Edmonds through advocacy, leadership, education, and community building events. And our vision statement, a reminder of that, to be recognized as a respected, influential, and essential voice in the greater Edmonds community. And look at this slide with all these people on it. So it's my pleasure as the chair this year to introduce our board of directors, many of whom are on this call with us today. So our first vice chair is Erica Barnett of Salish Sea Brewing. Second vice chair this year is Ann Penny, Edmonds College. Our treasurer, Ava Dubno, individual member. Ralph Sanders of Sanders Law Group is our secretary. And our past chair is Nancy Eckrom of DME CPA Group. And moving on to the board of directors members that you see on the right there, we have Ezra Jabin of Fortive, Brittany Williams from the Port of Edmonds, Diana Van Lovern of R&D Electric, Justin Goss of Makota Co., Greg Carlson, Beck's Tribute Center, Janelle Cass, Ohana Hyperbarics, Jen Anand, Fortuna Law, Jim Kristen, Edmonds Center for the Arts, Krista Larison, Kidda Events, Marilla Sargent, Home Street Bank, Nicholas Dyer of Swedish Edmonds, Nikki Dickerson, First Financial Northwest Bank, Olivia Brown Latham of Sugar Spa Edmonds, Richard Swico of Snow Isle Library, Tony Bly, Farmers Insurance, Will Chen CPA, and our city council representative, Adrian Fraley Manilis, and associate board member, Marita Udodik. So it's my pleasure as the chair to introduce the board of directors for the Edmonds Chamber for 2021. Special thank you to Nancy Eckrom for being our board chair in 2020, leading us through that crazy year that we all have been through, and continuing to serve as the past chair in 2021. Nancy's been a longtime board member for the Edmonds Chamber and helped the chamber through so many different challenging times. And I don't think this is exactly what she knew she had signed up for, being the chair in 2020, but thank you so much, Nancy. And also Marilla Sargent, who was our board chair in 2018 and 2019, and then served as our past chair in 2020, and is still on the board of directors. And both Nancy and Marilla did something else that was tremendously important that we're going to talk a little more about later in the presentation today, and that was with the Edmonds Kind of Hero campaign. Both served on that volunteer task force that made a tremendous impact for the chamber in 2020. And it's worth noting also that both Nancy and Marilla's businesses have stepped up their membership levels. It's platinum and silver membership levels. So thank you as well. These are tremendous, gigantic shoes to follow in the footsteps of being the board chair. And I'm so happy that both of you have remained on the board and are here to help answer my questions as we go further into this year of 2021. It's just very good knowing that you're here to help. Thank you. And many of you probably know this, but we always want to talk about some good news from 2020. We did have some good news. We had some staff additions. Alicia and Erica had children in 2020. So welcome to Leon and Evelyn.
Thank you, Rob. It was an interesting fall of 2019 when they both shared that they're both pregnant and due in 2020. I was scratching my head trying to figure out how we were going to survive with a reduced staff, but 2020 threw another curveball at us. So things ended up working out pretty well. So thank you for that intro, Rob. I look forward to a very productive 2021 with a board that's really diverse in representation of multiple businesses and experience levels. So it's going to be a fun 2021. So just a kind of base intro, we introduced premium memberships in 2020 as kind of one of our answers to some of the challenges that we're facing. And a bunch of businesses and individuals stepped up to answer that call, and super thankful. We have the platinum, gold, and silver level of this additional premium membership. And thanks to Carl Zapora, who also assisted in crafting and coming up with this and doing some fantastic outreach. Can't ever thank Carl enough. So at our platinum level, we have DME's CPA Group, Windermere Real Estate Edmonds, and Fortive. And at the gold level, we have Wilchen CPA, First Financial Northwest Bank, Beersford Booth Lawyers, Foundation for International Services, the Edmonds Daybreaker Rotary, Coastal Community Bank, Ameritrust CDC, and that at our silver level, Zapora Consulting LLC, Home Street Bank, Workhorse HQ, which is our co-working space here in Edmonds, North Sound Church, Community Transit, Harbor Square Athletic, Maverick Gaming, Beck's Tribute Center, and most recently, Sound Estate Planning. Just, again, can't thank these individuals enough. In the rest of our membership, it kind of falls into three different categories. We've got our business members, and those membership dues rates are based on the number of employees. And we have our nonprofit organizations who are charged a discounted rate from our standard business rate. And then the individual, family, and pet membership, which is $125 a year. It's a non-business, really a show community support type of a membership level. And that category really grew in 2020 with a lot of our individuals in the community stepping up to show support. We had an influx of dog and cat members, and I just can't thank everybody enough for that support and hopefully continued support on an ongoing basis. So how did we adjust? The year started out pretty well. We were riding high off of a fantastic 2019. We had one of the best tastes ever. We had just every event really ran very smoothly. We ended the year with money in the bank, which for a small nonprofit is an amazing feat in itself. But as we got to March and the closures started coming down, we really quickly adjusted to the Zoom platform. Luckily, I'd been on a statewide chamber board that had been using Zoom for about a year and a half. So I was already familiar with the platform and able to try to convert our weekly networking breakfasts, which have been kind of that gateway, that really engaging piece that most people find us through. And one of those things is people love to see each other on that weekly basis and catch up and find out how to help each other. So quickly converting over to Zoom. I know there were some hiccups with individuals who hadn't used the platform, but we did our best to try to make sure we could engage and get everybody on board. And then as COVID really started to show the reality of a 2-week shutdown was not in the cards, we stood up a COVID resource page within our site, trying to bring together all of the most current available information that was coming down. It was so much, and so much confusion amongst our members and business community in general on what information was most current, how did it apply to them. And we did our best to decipher and try to bring that back out. And as resources like the EIDL loans and PPP were being offered, we tried to provide those details within the COVID resource page as well. So not seeing a let up in the shutdown. In May, we brought together a couple of webinars touching on different topics for the restaurant industry, on some of the loans and the implications around those, and brought together a number of our members who are experts in their field to do some free webinars, and can't thank them enough for the quick turnaround. We had some that we put together, and within a couple days, we were able to kind of host some of those webinars. As 2021 moves forward, we're definitely going to look at those options, as events are probably still pretty far out. As well as grants, the grants that were being offered out by the county, by the city, by the Fed, we pretty quickly took our Edmonds Chamber Foundation, which is a sister 501c3, and cobbled together about $10,000 in funds to do some business-to-business support grants. One of the thoughts that crossed my head of being a past business owner was, wow, these people are going to have a lot of time on their hands since they can't operate as per normal. And there's always those projects that you put on the back burner until you have more time. And so the goal of the business-to-business support grants was to hire a local professional and pay for the services on behalf of the grant recipient. Therefore, giving something to somebody that maybe needs a new website, maybe needed financial advice, but also providing funds to a business that's still able to operate and hire people and pay their staff. And so for each one of those grants, essentially, we're able to help two businesses. And after launching that program, the city of Edmonds stepped up and added another 50,000 on top of our 10 in funding support. So we were able to do 85 grants in a little bit less than 5 months through that program. We really expanded beyond our community. We reached out to chambers and associations throughout the state, trying to stay connected and make sure the information that we had was accurate, finding out new resources from others, and just working collectively to find how we could support our members as best we could. And all at the same time as every other association and chamber was in the same mode of having to lay off staff and downsize with their own organizations at threat. So that's been a big one to kind of get outside of our own community and really connect with the larger state and county. Our Wish Fund through the Edmonds Chamber Foundation originally was set up as a disaster fund to help businesses that are burglarized, natural disasters. We were able to, in the last year, apply 2 of those grants, one to Pear Tree Consignment, who was broken into in June, right as the shutdown was lifting for retail. And we're able to step into a $1,000 Wish Fund grant to support their insurance claim for a burglary. And recently, we're able to also apply a Wish Fund grant to Chef Dane Catering, who was also the victim of a burglary around Thanksgiving of this last year. And that fund is kind of depleting, so we're hoping to expand people's understanding and hope to replenish some of those funds so that we can help more businesses as those unforeseen disasters and cash flow kind of events happen to them. We don't want to see businesses boarded up for any longer than they need to be. And hopefully we can continue to do that. And then in October, we launched Edmonds Cash, which, if you haven't heard, it's a community-wide gift certificate. It's a great way to give a gift that supports local business. It's not only used at one specific location. There are 30 merchants so far who are signed on. So you give somebody a $25 certificate in Edmonds Cash, they can go buy wine, they could go get a massage, they could get dinner, they can go grab some books, they could fill up on coffee. It's a way to ensure that giving somebody a Visa card or an Amazon gift card, where those funds leave our community, it's a way to ensure that those funds stay here. And I'm happy to say that we're probably about over $18,000 in certificates that are circulating out there. So if you, as a business, want to learn more, potentially accept Edmonds Cash, please do reach out to the chamber office. And kind of unfortunate way we adjusted was we had to furlough staff. So with Alicia and Erica having babies this year, very thankful that the paid family medical leave had been started in early 2020 and was able to be there to assist during that time period. But based on us having to really close down most of the events for the year, the responsible thing in order to keep the chamber moving forward was unfortunately to furlough staff and let them take advantage of the unemployment benefits that existed at the moment. And we're hoping to reverse that as soon as we can. So as you know, we do a lot of events. Big chunk of our budget is based on them. And as you can see, that Edmonds Clam Chowder Cook-Off end of February, we just squeaked that out. Fantastic event. We had a team from Japan that was here competing and sold a lot of tickets and had a great time. But 2020 hit and everything else got canceled. It was heartbreaking, and we were able to see in the community how much impact these events actually do have. And hear some people expressing they didn't know the chamber is the one that did them. So all of these beloved community events really weighed on people as you're stuck in the house and you didn't have something to go out and do. And that regular go put your chairs out for the 4th of July, it started to resonate with people. And that resonating events really helped to bring together this volunteer task force, thanks to Carl Zapora, who helped to kind of approach and say, we need to put together a task force. And then Carl also sent out this audacious goal of $100,000 by the end of the year, which I had a big lump in my throat when I heard the number. But an amazing group of individuals came together to really talk through the problem of the chamber and our financing for the year. And from those conversations, the Edmonds Kind of Hero campaign was born. We launched this just around the 4th of July in the community and looked at it as not only a way to meet some of the funding shortfalls, but also as a way to inform the greater community of all that the chamber does. And it's been a continual struggle over the years to find an effective way to say, these are the things that we do. And they're funded by our amazing members. They're funded by our sponsors and some grants that we receive for doing them. So this event, this campaign went faster than I could have expected. And by the beginning of November, we had already hit our goal of 100,000, which I'm still dumbfounded by, and very thankful to the community and everybody who stepped up, not only to donate to this campaign, but to maintain their membership, to increase their membership through the premium memberships that we offered out, and to give us a chance to make it into 2021 and beyond. So thank you to every one of our task force members, especially you, Carl, for kind of stepping up and kicking us in the butt. Again, Edmonds Cash, a great way to continue to support our merchants. It's not just a holiday campaign. We launched it kind of just before the holidays, but this is really meant to be a year-round support local, shop local campaign. And I just encourage for birthdays, employee recognition, any kind of occasion where you might get a gift for somebody, consider making all or a portion of that, in Edmonds Cash. And, we're adding more merchants, and you're guaranteed to give a gift to somebody and they'll have a way to spend it that's going to be meaningful for themselves. So again, we started doing an annual member survey. Carl Zapora helped us to kind of launch that first one in 2018. So this was our 3rd year to do the survey. Typically, the survey really kind of covers a lot of the events that we do. It talks about each of the events and its importance and the quality that we bring with those events. But 2020, and kind of hard to ask those questions, so we adjusted the survey and tried to ask some more meaningful questions of our members of how they've been impacted, how what's the chance that they might not survive this. In addition to getting feedback, soliciting feedback of what is the chamber doing and how is it impacting them. And so this survey was put together, and so there are kind of 5 key questions. The first was, how much have you or your business been challenged in 2020 due to the pandemic and restrictions on business and people? And it's a 1 to 5 rating scale, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. And so, as you can see, the members that responded are being impacted. 3.72 out of a 5-point scale is up there. And a lot of our businesses do fall in that retail, restaurant, and service-based business core, and they are heavily impacted. The second question was, how much are you or your business currently at risk or financial challenge or disaster of being closing or not being able to pay your own bills? And thankfully, the answer on this one was a little bit lower, 2.5 being kind of an average mid-range, did come in at 2.27. So showing that our members are finding a way through and not fully at risk of closing. But of course, this is all point in time, and there are many challenges to come. So we hope to keep standing up resources and services that will aid our businesses to survive. Third question was, how would you rate the Chamber's efforts to support our members during this challenging year? And that scored at a 4.2, and thankful that our members are recognizing the challenges for us, but also how we try to adapt and make sure that everybody in this community is being supported. And the other one is, how would you rate the overall performance of the Chamber over the past year? And that scored even higher at a 4.25. And for context, the scores for that same question in the last 3 years, in 2019 was 4.27, which was astounding considering 2018, that number was 3.47. So we had a vast improvement from 2018 to 2019. And given all the challenges of 2020, I'm thrilled to see that number is still as high as it is. So thank you to everybody who answered that survey. Over the last 3 years, here's kind of the breakup of who's answered or how many people. And it's showing that it's still within that statistical range of past years. We had 88 members answer the survey for this year. And for everybody who knows, you try to do a survey, you're never going to get that full participation. So we are thankful that it is staying pretty consistent and that people are taking the time. So thank you if you had a chance to go through and answer that survey. And if not, keep an eye out for the next one. We do them in December of each year, and we send out the announcement and a couple of reminders to solicit your feedback, because it does make an impact and it's important. So 2020 budget pre-COVID, we had a lot of event revenue and a lot of event expenses and a lot of other fun things in there, but we projected a really good year. We projected a year where we would end in the black, coming in off of our 2019 stellar year. And of course, it's a little bit deceiving because of that, Edmonds kind of hero campaign, but we ended the year even higher than that at 65,000 above our expenses. Much of that, again, due to the hero campaign, the increase in membership dues through the premium memberships, some additional support from the city of Edmonds through rent forgiveness the last 6 months of the year, and taking out all of those events and all of those event expenses. It's impactful. The event revenue does look a little bit high. We did receive a $30,000 grant towards the 4th of July from the Hazel Miller Foundation. And as the 4th of July was getting canceled, we reached out and they thankfully let us keep that fund in order to continue with our COVID response, which was amazing. I was sitting here going, if we've got to give that money back, that window of chamber existence continues to narrow. So many fantastic partners in this community who each one of their efforts has allowed us to continue. So if you have the capacity to support in the future, Hazel Miller Foundation has been a great partner to many organizations in the community and well worth a donation. So looking ahead with the uncertainty, our board's come up with a 2021 budget, which is kind of a temporary holdover for maybe the first quarter, without an understanding of if any events or where events might land. We wanted to be mindful and not kind of project and be hopeful. So the board came together and put together this temporary budget. This budget does project a negative $48,000 loss if everything stayed as is for the year. I'll point out that it does have one staff member coming back in March to rejoin the team. The things that you'll find here in the next slide as far as how we're going to make that negative 48 work will kind of come to light. So that's the current projection. And of course, this budget will be adjusted as we move forward and have a better sense on the year. So how we're going to make it, we love our members, and our members are why we're here. So we will continue to do what we can to reach out to our members and hopefully continue to receive your support in maintaining your membership and doing what you can where you can. Our premium memberships have a great potential for growth and increasing those businesses going from a regular membership up to a premium. So we'll continue to focus and work on that, as well as new members. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 new members that have joined, and being down to one out of 3 staff, we don't have a ton of capacity to do the outreach as we normally would. And so these people are finding us and joining sometimes without even reaching out or calling or talking. So either we're doing something good and they like what we're doing and that's why they're joining, or somebody else is out there talking and I thank you. One of the ways that we're going to try to make it through with that negative 48 that you saw in the 2021 budget is the payroll protection program. Unfortunately, the first round of the PPP was not accessible to chambers of commerce, which are 501c6 organizations. And we are a 501c6, and the second round that just opened does allow us to apply. So there's we've already put our application in, and there's about $37,000 to $40,000 in PPP funds that we could potentially receive that do need to go towards payroll. And so that alone would put us pretty close to zeroing out that budget. And the hope is, as we bring back one additional staff person, we'll have a little bit more capacity to do outreach to our members, to put together some more webinars, potentially some additional paid events that can further chip away at that 2021 budget. Again, the City of Edmonds has been fantastic. We were kept in the 2021 budget for the city at a $10,000 support grant, and we're excited to be able to receive that. But we also had council members who made sure that the chamber got an additional 6 months of rent forgiveness from January through June. And that as well is going to help on our bottom line. We'll continue focusing on cost cutting anywhere we can. There's not a ton to cut right now, but we're always eyeing those things. And then the webinars and virtual events, there is the potential to do some paid virtual events that can add a couple more dollars to our bottom line. And kind of last but not least is keep calm and cross your fingers, because we hope that this fall will allow for events. The hope is that we can have the car show, the Halloween event, and the tree lighting event at a minimum. And maybe if we are able to take an event that happened earlier and push it a little bit farther into the year. But as we're seeing with the vaccine rollout, the general populace is probably not slated till June, July to be getting the vaccinations, which we're hopeful that will mean the fall does open up to larger events given the herd immunity coming down. So big one, cross fingers. And for those that are out there saying good things about the chamber, please continue to do so. It does help.